I did this for this to get this deep. But a lot of times we're attached to things because we believe that somehow having this thing is part of our identity. Somehow it's going to make or break us as a person, or even make or break our relationship with God. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Limitless Conversations podcast. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, I am your host and your favorite friend, Shawn, and you can find me at Authentically Shawn on all social media platforms. And here on this podcast, we talk about expanding, growing, and being your best limitless selves. What are the things that you are thinking, the mindsets that you are adapting that are keeping you limited, and how do you bust those limitations? Today, I want to talk about attachment and truly how to be more detached and the power of being detached. This came up for me because this happens to me and my best friend all the time, where we sit and we say things and then they just happen because your thoughts truly do turn into things. Your thoughts turn into perceptions. Your thoughts turn into a lot of things. I could go on forever and ever about that topic because my mind's always thinking about how each tool is so different and how we use them in different moments. And so every tool that I give you in every episode may not be the tool for where you are right now, may not be the tool for your scenario. I'm only ever giving you a bunch of different tools and you pick up which one works the best for you, okay? And none of them that I give may be the best one for you, right? It might be different. So anyway, today I want to talk mostly about detachment because the other day me and my well, I won't get that one because that one happened so recently and I don't really want to say that one yet, but I will tell you an old one that happened. So me and my best friend were out one day. We were in the car, and as we do sometimes, we just sit in the car and we just sometimes we think about like, there's so many careers and jobs that your husband could have. There's so many things he can do, right? Like he could be an IT, he could be a chef, he could be an artist, he could be I don't know, retired military. He could be, there's just so many careers, right? So we're just like playing around with these thoughts. So one of the thoughts that had really stuck in our like theorizing moment that we were having was like, oh, what if you had like a guy who was a chef and he like had a restaurant and like we would sit and eat at his restaurant and we're saying this like as we're heading to dinner. Was I wearing this dress that night? I think I was it. Was I? No, my other mattress. Okay, anyway, sorry. Um, so keep in mind, we're like in the car driving to dinner as we're talking about this stuff, right? So we're just throwing things at the wall, just saying stuff. So then we go out to dinner, and this is a new restaurant that just opened. We sit down, are having our dinner. Really, we had built a relationship with our server. We're like, oh, you're gonna be our server. You're gonna be our person when we come here, and da 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 da. And then he like brings out some like dishes that the chef just like wanted us to try. We were like, okay. And then the chef proceeds to come out, introduce himself, and like in that moment we had built a relationship and a connection with him. And I just thought it was we both kind of just like looked at each other in awe and like laughed and also surprised and shocked at how in the world this happens to us so often where we just speak things and we think things and we speak things out loud and then literally with us, especially with our magic together, it happens so fast, right? And so we like joke, like what happened to us recently for another scenario. I was like, girl, we just start saying like tonight when we go, we're gonna meet our husband. And I was kind of like laughing. I'm like, or I was like, all right, so tonight when we go, we're gonna just, I don't know, somehow fall to $1 million. And if only. But the reason that that happened so easily for us is because we did not have an attachment to it. We were literally just cool girls shooting the shits, just talking about things. And because we didn't have an attachment to if it did or did not happen, it really made it a lot easier for the universe to bring that scenario into our life. Even the same thing that happened recently with us, we were very unattached to it. And it just reminded me how I wanted to come on and talk about the art of detachment because it was something that I have been getting pretty good at these days. And a really big way that I get good with detaching from things that I want is that once I identify the desire that I have, I identify it. I do have a level of I want it, I'm a little attached to it, right? But then, because I've had this happen recently, and this has been with something that I was a little bit more attached to actually happening, right? The thing about the chef child, like, we're just shooting the shit. We didn't really care if that really happened, right? But I had no attachment to it. But then there are things that you want to bring into your life that you actually do have an attachment to, that you really might desire a lot more. And so one of the things I would say is probably like a small to medium level request that I have, or a desire that I have, and how I am bringing it into my life right now is there's a level of detachment. So how do you detach from things that you actually do want? In this case that I have now, the biggest thing that I've done is I've got on another subject. And this might be a little controversial, but if you desire something and you're just fixated on it, what you're really doing sometimes is at moments with that, you're showing an extreme attachment to it, and it's creating more resistance. Because the more you focus on wanting it, is the more you're focused on it not being there. If you guys ever listen to Abraham Hicks, she teaches this kind of stuff really, really well, and she talks about getting off of a subject, or she just talks about the more you focus on the thing that you want. She might say get on to another subject as well, but she does talk about the more you focus on wanting something so bad, it will. What's coming up? The desire for it. And when you have the desire for it, what's highlighted? The fact that it's not there. And so as I was moving towards the desire that I had, I identified that I had a desire for it, and then I found my way onto the next thought. I didn't stay on that one. I immediately let it go. I was like, oh, I desire this. I want this. Oh. And then I moved on. I let it go, and I found another topic to get on. That's what's really cool to me about being on this realm in Earth, is that there's so many topics to get on. You don't have to stay on that one. And it's actually good to get off of that one, because then you allow God to do what God's going to do, the universe to do what it's going to do, and you allow your resistance and your attachment to it to actually release some. And then before you know it, you look up and that thing has materialized, or you have that thing because you're not attached to it. Now, attachment. Why does attachment even come in? Why are we attached to things? A lot of times we're attached to things. I didn't say this to get this deep, but a lot of times we're attached to things because we believe that somehow having this thing is part of our identity. Somehow it's going to make or break us as a person, or even make or break our relationship with God. And that was a big one for my one that I have now, is I said, you know what, God, if this does not work out, then it's okay. It doesn't mean that you're mad at me, because I used to think that. It doesn't mean that you're mad at me. It doesn't mean that you don't love me. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't matter that I messed up, or I messed something up, or did I miss a step. It doesn't mean any of that, right? And that was pivotal for me, because it allowed for me to not wrap up my identity in what blessings or what things that I got or what things I brought in, and instead, I could just enjoy them when they came in from a very, and like, oh, this is so fun that I actually created this, but not, because you're not gonna, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're not gonna always get everything. You're not gonna always get everything, and you're not gonna always get it when you want it. And so if you are gonna get it, you might not get it when you want it. So I guess I should add that to it, but you're not gonna always get it. And for me, that got a little tricky with my identity, because I felt like, man, what am I doing wrong? Or man, am I so messed up? And so recently there's been just like no attachment to like whether things work out or don't work out. I just don't think that it ties to anything for me. Like, it doesn't mean that God's mad at me. It doesn't mean that I did something wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm flawed. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that it wasn't the time, space for that, and that just wasn't an option for me. Maybe that God saw something bigger for me. Oftentimes, I like to think that God saw something bigger for me. So, with bringing it back to the word attachment, why do we get attached? Because you have to know why we're attached to things to know how to detach from things. A big part of why we get attached to things is because we do think that having that thing, whether it's a car, whether it's a relationship, whether it's the money, whatever it is, we think that having that thing will somehow define who we are as a person. And it's simply not true. And if you can release that attachment, right? If you can release the fact that it doesn't have anything to do with your identity or anything to do with your connection with the source, then it will help you a lot with detaching. So get on another subject if you want to detach, right? Have the desire and get on another topic. Please, I beg of you. And then number two, realize that whether or not you get this thing, it doesn't, it's not a defining moment for who you are. It's not defining of your love, of the unconditional love that you get. Think about like when you're a kid, and if your parent doesn't give you the attention that you want, you think that you're bad. I'm a bad kid, and my parent doesn't like me. I don't know if anything like me, or my friend just did not answer my call sometimes. I'd be like, they don't like me. And I'd look at it back and be like, oh my God, Shawn, what the heck? That does not mean that, girl. What? And like, I'd like feel like so much like I just want to grab her and hug her because I really did wrap my identity so much up in results. And I'm learning that that's just not the case. And it's not it's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's don't do. Um, yeah, so that's a big part of attachment. Let's see if there's anything coming up for this conversation around attachment. Okay, I see there's nothing else coming up on that. And it's weird for me because I like threes. I don't like two. I would love to have a third tip for you guys, but I can't force something that's not there. I guess this is what I have to say on on attachment and detachment for today. Detaching means that whether or not this does or does not happen, I'll be okay. And that I'm not looking for this thing to signify anything for me or to identify anything about me. Instead, it's just an experience that I like to have. It'd be fun to have. But if I don't have it, that's okay too. And for some of our denser topics like love, like relationships, the best way I can really say for you to navigate that space is to really understand this is actually a little different than attachment or detachment, but I know it's a thing because I know one of the biggest things that people are manifesting or wanting to have or wanting to experience is love and finances and enjoy where you are. That's actually yeah, that's pretty much the biggest tip I can give you. To be detached, um, I was literally to be detached is to really be present with all that you're currently experiencing. Desires are fun. We're meant to have them. We're creative beings. We're always going to be creating a desire. We're always going to be creating a new thought. That's why every thought probably is going to happen because there's so many thoughts that we do have. And so there's always going to be something new. And so just be present with whatever's coming up. And whenever you notice, like, as long as it's fun to explore it, then that's cool, right? In the car, when we're painting out this chef guy, it's just fun. It's fun to explore the possibility. And that's okay to stay on that subject when you're just having fun exploring it. But the moment that it begins to create a little resistance, where maybe some thoughts of doubts or questions of how questions of how begin to come and let it go. Another big tip for living detached and having and bringing into the experiences is don't worry about the how. You're going to get tripped up on the how because you don't know the how. You don't really have a part in the how. To be honest, I mean, sometimes you could like think up things and it could work out that way, and it could. Look at me, hold my breath. It could. You see what I'm doing with my fingers down here. It could happen that way, but the how is gonna trip you up because I'm trying to tell you, just trust me on this one. There's been so many moments where I have been bringing an experience or desire. I've been thinking about it, and I started to build out the how, and literally, God told me that that's why it wasn't going to happen because I was trapped. I was trying to do too much. I was. So the moment I see myself starting to try to build out a how, I immediately get off of the thought because I am now putting God in a box. I am now trying to tailor and orchestrate the thing, and it's not my responsibility. It's not. It's not my job, and I don't know how it's going to happen. And so, how is also an indicator of kind of like your attachment to it as well, because you're trying to assure that it happens. this is, again, this tool is to be used for certain things, right? This is not necessarily a tool if you are planning to achieve a certain goal. Obviously, in those moments, you do have to worry about the how, right? But this is like when you're in that very dreamy phase of things, pondering things, things like what I talked about as being in the car, how good God could work something out. Really, when you're dealing with airy fairy things, I would say, um, don't worry about the how. That creates resistance. Okay. So when how comes up, get on to another subject. That means that you pretty much developed all that you could in that moment and release it and get on to another thing. If it's fun, if it's joy, if it's just feeling creative, you'll know how it feels. You have to trust your body. You'll know the difference. If it just feels like fun, creation, and exploration, like ideas being thrown out, but don't build the idea out. Let God, ooh, not a word. Let God build the idea out. Let that be revealed to you and not thought up by you. Okay, let God reveal to you through the process how this is all supposed to unfold, through inspired action, how this is all supposed to unfold. Yeah, I'm gonna close on that because I could go into a whole separate piece of content here now. Here and now, I'm running. What's that song? I don't know the words to it at all. So yeah, that was so good. That was so fun to talk about. You guys, honestly, I just had a lot of fun. Um, Talking about that topic. I've been wanting to talk about it for a while. Hadn't known how to talk about it, or if I was gonna be like, I was kind of like, God, do I have all the insight to give on such a big concept? Because you see how like fun I talked about it, how like light I talked about it, but this is indeed a very big part of having your desires, right? It's a big part of it. You do have to detach. You do have to be able to identify how attached you are, how to get off of attachment, why you're attached to it, and truly just detach and allow everything to unfold. And that's really being in your receiving energy. There's always a time to be in your receiving energy. There's time to be in your giving energy. And so this is really a big tool on how to be in the receptive mode. And what a delightful process it is. And this is where I've been. And sometimes I sit here and sometimes I sit other places. And that's the beauty of life. But I wanted to share this today and let you know that your worth is not determined by what you attract and what you create in your life. And it doesn't tell anything about your character or how much source loves you, how much the universe loves you. And it doesn't tell anything about all that is in your, as Abraham Hicks calls it, your vortex, all of the goodness that you're going to have in life. You know, it's not, none of that is going to determine who you are as a being. And so if you can release the idea that these things make you anything, then you can allow for just this blissful, joyous ride. So yeah, that's it, my love, sir. I love you guys. And Daniel Howard decided to be limitless. I am deciding to be limitless today after this conversation by knowing that regardless of if I get a thing, if I don't get a thing, I'm still unconditionally loved. I'm still amazing and beautiful, and I just still deserve so much goodness because simply I'm a creator, part of a bigger one. Okay, another one. But yeah, as a creator, I'm meant to be here and think thoughts and watch my thoughts turn into things and enjoy the beauty of that. So yes, I love you guys. I hope this was so helpful. If it was, comment and let me know. What do you take away? What are your thoughts? What are you feeling after hearing this? Does it resonate? Did it give you some kind of like, oh, okay, or did it give you a Let me know. I love you, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye.